hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. I don't wanna hear any more small talk. Off that short pier, take a long walk. My style ain't free cause it ain't off top. I'm at your throat, go get a cough drop. It's kush. I love me too much and your brain turn to mush. Fall flat on your tush. You couldn't handle the product I push. I guess I'm just used to it, I just do it. Like Nike swoosh, none of that Reggie Bush, cause I'm top shelf, I ain't got...
What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
All right. And we're back live as usual. And once again, welcome back. Josh is having some technical difficulties, so he'll be on. Oh, there we go. All right. So, hey, let's just go ahead and just hop right into it. Welcome back to the YDKJAC podcast, where we're going over everything Colts related and then just talk about the fact that it just wasn't the Jags. Or it wasn't always the Jags. It was never the Jags. It was never. But you know what? Salute to them because they did sweep the Titans. So yeah, life is nice like that, But in the meantime, let's go ahead and just welcome in the fellas. Like I said, there was no games that we played in because, of course, we stunk the season. So I mean, it is what it is. But first off, we have with us the silent assassin, the man who is very few words but many actions and emojis. Austin Cook, everybody.
What's up? I'm Austin.
That's why I appreciate you. That's right there. Then we have with us the man who will not admit that the Lakers are a shell of themselves. The man who gets on and just schools these kids in Call of Duty. We appreciate you, Josh, for that, because they need to understand they can catch these fresh skibbity paps. We have with us Josh Senior, everybody.
What's good, everybody? And if you want to join up on Call of Duty, just hit me up, man. We always gonna, my bad, y'all. But yeah, hey, everybody, it's good to be back another week, another Coast topic. And guess what? Like I said, it wasn't the Jags. They sucked. They got beat by one-legged. They let Chad Henne come in, go 98 yards on the field and beat them. So it feels good. It feels good. It's another year without a team in our division winning anything, meaning a Super Bowl. I know it's, nobody want to talk about the Super Bowl talk, but yeah, everybody ringless except us.
Yeah, pretty much. But sounds good to me. And I'm Chris Jackson, so we'll do that. But we're just gonna go ahead and just get right into it because it hasn't been an eventful week, but it's been an eventful day in terms of news. First off, Aaron Rodgers has been basically the name's been thrown around. They didn't know exactly where he was going to go or what was going to happen. He didn't talk about anything regarding his future. And now we hear rumors that Aaron Rodgers could potentially be going to the Colts. Austin, why is this a terrible idea?
Well, if it was last year, I think, everybody would agree Aaron Rodgers to the Colts is a possibility. But after so many years of getting older quarterbacks and not working out, there's no way we do that again this year, right?
Of course not.
Like Aaron Rodgers says he can be an MVP again. But by the way he played, I don't think that's true. I don't think he'll win another MVP.
No. The thing is, it's like that sounds like more lip service. Like it just sounds it sounds super cliche because it's like you're trying to like save yourself, but at the same time you're also just trying to make it seem as though like, oh yeah, no, you guys are trying to count me out. Just be like, no, we're counting correctly. Like, there's no way that you can look at this past year and really believe in your heart of hearts that you're gonna go back and win another one when it's just like you look slower. You didn't look nearly as good as you've looked previously. And then it's just like, and then it's the overall attitude. It's like his willingness to throw people under the bus. It's like, why would you even want to do that? But what do you think, Josh? Like, are his best days behind him at this point?
I mean, it's hard to say that because he won back-to-back MVPs. But my issue would be, why would he be linked to the Colts? Why would he come to the Colts? The Colts are in a worse situation than the Packers. O-line issues, not enough weapons. Right now, no head coach or OC. So I mean, why would he come there with the unknown, where he can go back to where he at with having a receiver that he had last year, and they just build on top of that. They got the run game. We got one too, but why would he go somewhere? And then that contract, that contract is high. I think it's like $50 million. Is it $50 million? 40 something?
I think
48?
so, but I think what they did was they paid him a majority of that, like, kind of upfront. I'm not sure what the next few years looks like, but it's awful. It's awful. Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand why they went that high. I mean, I'm sure, like, yes, you're trying to show loyalty. You're trying to show just like, yes, we want you to retire a Packer, but and mind you, this is the first time that he's had that kind of deal. It's just like when he was talking about leaving, they originally were talking about, oh yeah, we're gonna go ahead and give you this much, and that was another contract that was kind of like, okay, like it was definitely front loaded, and then there wasn't nearly as much on the back end, but then it's just like you do it again, and
Right.
it's but I mean, but the thing is, honestly, it's just like, do the Colts even want to take on that kind of money, knowing that you're going to have to pay your top two offensive players outside of Quentin Nelson?
But you failed to mention there's going to be a cap moving Matt Ryan. So you losing. You're going to have a cap hit of $18 million, and then you got to pick up his contract.
Yep, that's true. That's very true. So actually, okay. So Aaron Rodgers' contract right now, so it was basically very front loaded. So they would be looking at going into the next league year. They would be looking at paying 12, or Green Bay would be paying 12.9 million. So the cap hit, I think the cap hit that we would take on would be somewhere around 31 million. But then after that, for the next few years, that's when it looks, because the thing is, the cap hit for the next few years for 2024, 2025, and 2026 is 40.7 million, 59.3 million, and 53.4 million.
Nope.
Yeah. So we're let's just not like we'll just venture away from that. Like this just, let's just call it what it is. I said it before, no more QBs over 27. I don't care if it's Aaron Rodgers. This is not the Aaron Rodgers that was throwing 34-3 in a season. Like, you're taking on all that money for a guy who you can clearly see is not anywhere near where he's been previously. Like, I mean, this guy is just like, he's another one who's about to be in year 20. Like, we'll pass on that. We will definitely pass on that. Or I think he'll be in year 19 coming up. But we'll go to some of the comments, and then we'll go to the next one, because the next one, it's been a crazy day in terms of news. So let's just go with that. But yeah, he said, "Boo, no Aaron Rodgers." Thank you, Brandon. We appreciate you. Same thing. Then Ron says, "It's a terrible idea because it's not long term. It will be such a huge swing and miss. It will be more of a joke than Wentz and Ryan. I believe Rodgers can play. He's just getting old. He needs out that cold weather like Brady. And I don't know about an MVP, but he can still play, in my opinion. But not here. It's not worth it." Absolutely. Like, the thing is,
he can play. He can play.
If you like, the thing is, and here's the craziest part. If you believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to come in and then just solve the QB issue altogether, you're dead wrong. Because the thing is, it's just like, you're basically trying to, it's kind of like when you play in a game, right? When you play in any type of football game or anything like that, it's just like, that you got to go in for one play, but that your ankle is really jacked up. That if for some reason you play on this, it's just like it could potentially screw up everything for you. But you're just like, what? I can go out there one last time and do this, and then I'll be done. Like, I know I'm done. I know I'm not playing anymore after this. That's basically what this is. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, you're not looking at next year and then saying, if we do good this year, then Aaron Rodgers will be there next year. No, he's going to be 40 next year. And I mean, I don't care how protected Tom Brady was. You're not doing the same thing with Aaron Rodgers. We see that he can still be good, but you see the decline. And we don't know exactly how that decline is going to go from this year to next year because it will be another off season. So I listen. I don't know about y'all. I'm out. I'm out on Aaron Rodgers.
I'm out too. I'm out too.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. We're not. Then he said no more trading QBs or trading for QBs or free agent QBs. Draft new young gun finally. Yes. And then he said plus it's too much money. So yeah. So like I said, I think we're all in agreement that this whole year to year QB over 35 experiment is just like it's done for. Like we're not doing this anymore.
The thing is, why would Ballard do it again? Like his job is on the line. Like why would he do that again? He did it with Wentz. He did it with Rivers. He did it with Matt Ryan. Like why would he do it again?
And the only success that he really had was with Rivers, but that's just because Rivers basically was doing everything practically on his own. I mean, Rivers was out there running the offense.
Correct.
Yeah, you can draw up plays and do all that, but the thing is, Rivers went out there and he did what he did, basically just being who he was for his whole entire career. The problem was that he just didn't have an arm left, and there just was nothing left in the tank. Like no, absolutely not. But with that being said, moving on from Aaron Rodgers, because that's what we're doing. Moving on from Aaron Rodgers. So we've seen the speculation Michael Pittman Jr. could be going to Chicago in a package that would give us the first overall pick. We saw, I don't know how, Quentin Nelson in one of those that would have them going into that one. I think I saw one, Darius Leonard was going in there. And then I saw there was one. Then I saw Buckner, yeah. And then we saw one that kind of made a little bit of sense based on the year. And it was Kenny Moore.
Mm-hmm.
So Kenny Moore, he made his frustration known how he wanted a new deal at the beginning of the season. They didn't get a deal done. You could see that he was kind of not his normal self. And I'm going to say it's just like this offseason hasn't provided anything that even remotely makes it seem as though like he's staying. One of the scenarios was that with the fourth overall pick, you send Kenny Moore and then you potentially send another one. Now, he made some comments recently that kind of made it a little bit more obvious that moving to Chicago might be a thing. He said that, being in Eberflus's system, it allowed him to be able to move a little bit more, being able to move around. But then he also said that it's just like, I like to, basically saying like, I like to rush the quarterback, and then that was it. And, so Austin, how we feel about Kenny Moore potentially being involved in a trade that sends him over to Chicago to get that number 1 overall pick?
Yeah. Obviously Kenny Moore's done a lot for the Colts and like the organization, the community as a whole. He's loved in Indianapolis. He's loved by fans. But if he's not happy in Indianapolis, like he doesn't like the scheme we run right now with Gus Bradley, and if he wants out or he wants paid more just to be happy, then if we can get a deal done to get the number 1 pick and pick who we want, like we don't have to rely on anybody else. We have the first pick. Then why not do it? Like you're helping him get out where he doesn't want to be, and he's helping us get the number 1 pick.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough, but Josh, like, let's just say if that does end up being the scenario, how does that change the way that the defense looks as it is right now, especially if you keep Gus Bradley?
I mean, it wouldn't change. It'd still be the same because, like I said before we got on when we went live, the defense on Lau does not allow corners to rush the passer. So I mean, I get his play decline based off having the previous DC allow him to have more room, roam around, rush the passer, do a lot more. And this one is pretty much just covering, and it made his play. I mean, dip a little bit, took a nosedive a little bit. But like we said, if it allow us to move up to the first overall pick, along with having other picks, why not? He get paid because they have 100 million in cap, so he's gonna get the
Yeah.
contract that he wants and desires. I love him. I wish he could stay. But I wouldn't want to. I don't never want to hold on a guy that wants to better himself for as earning more money, and be able to be comfortable in the defense that he been been in for how many years? 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, it's
So
been it's been about about 5 years. Yeah.
so go forward. I'm not against it. The other guys that we mentioned, no, those guys got to stay. Yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't I wouldn't add those guys for nothing.
Yeah, because I mean, I was very conflicted about like trading him away or basically just go having him go out. But the problem is that you're in a position right now where you have to literally go and you have to utilize him the best way he knows how. Kenny Smith, I mean, Kenny Moore is very, very. I'm not traditional, but I'm gonna say he's kind of like a Taysom Hill, but on defense. Like he
Okay.
can play just about anywhere. You know that he has the ability to tackle. You know that he has the ability to kind of move wherever. It's just like he can jump with the best of them. He can run with the best of them. And not only that, but the thing is, his eye for actually being able to blitz the quarterback is, I mean, I'm going to say bar none. That's an ability that it's just like even we missed this year. I mean, the one thing about Eberflus is just like the defense was kind of inconsistent, but I'm going to say from a strictly defensive standpoint, being able to use Kenny Moore the way that he has been, the way that he was able to those years that he was there, it was absolutely amazing. So that's
Right.
why seeing some of those things come out is like it's tough, but at the same time, it's like yeah, this is going to be a little bit, it's not going to make for the best thing. It's just like I feel like there was a couple cornerbacks that kind of could have been handled differently. I mean, the fact that you know you bring in Gilmore and it's just like, yeah, okay, you have Gilmore. Let Gilmore run a little bit more man. It's just like I get that you're trying to have like that cover three defense, have the taller corners, that's fine. But there's no way that you think unequivocally that you bring in Brandon Facison and then have him in on every down playing man, getting beat the way that he did, and then you bring in Isaiah Rodgers and you're getting the complete opposite of what you're getting with Facison, and think that that's going to be something that can be replicated. Is like it wasn't nearly what it should have been. And I think it's just like we suffered because of that. I think do we lose out on Kenny this offseason? I think he'll probably end up being traded. He's gonna end up being traded, and it's gonna be sad because of the fact that it's just like what he does on the field and off the field is probably just like one of the most impressive things in terms of what he actually brings to this team and to the city of Indianapolis. Like it sucks, but I mean that's a harsh reality. So we'll go to the comments and then we're gonna talk about some of these playoff games because yeah, we definitely got to discuss those. They said it's a firm no for me. You should go to New Orleans or the Jets. I'd be completely fine with Aaron Rodgers going anywhere except here. He can go to the Iowa Barnstormers for all I care, and that'll be completely fine. And then our brothers from the Anvil, what's up, guys? I also don't believe we need to trade up. We should stay at 4. Gus was a letdown. The next head coach should really evaluate him and not think we have a DC that can't be let go. So if we're looking at how these teams are, or if we're looking at who these guys can bring in, if we get a defensive coach, I think Gus is out automatically. Unless he just is somebody that he worked with that automatically has that respect. I mean, yeah, I can see that, but probably not. Offensively, I don't know. I don't know. I think offensive head coach, I think, is the way that they're going just because of the fact that they know that they're going to have to draft a quarterback this year. But I don't know. I mean, would y'all be opposed to getting rid of or keeping Gus Bradley?
It depends on the scheme. It depends on the head coach. I mean, look at like the guys that we interviewing. I mean, Dan Quinn, if he comes, he definitely not going to. Like you said, he's definitely not going to keep Gus. But I mean, I feel like no matter who we get, the staff outside of maybe Reggie Wayne and a couple of other guys, Bobby, they're going to be gone. That's just me. I feel
Yeah,
like we're going to move on from everybody anyway.
yeah. I mean that makes sense. How about you, Austin? Are we keep? Do we keep him? Do we?
Um, I mean, I think he did a decent job. Like our defense looked good most of the time, but then other times we didn't. We talked about that throughout the year.
Yeah,
So like if we keep him, I'd be okay with that. But if we, like you said, we got a defensive coach or even an offensive coach that had his own guy that he wanted there, it is what it is. I wouldn't be upset either way.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, like I said, it's. I think if you come in and you see this team as it is, you definitely do see that. Okay, there's some things that definitely do need to be shifted around, or some things that need to be changed. I know brothers from the Anvil said, I think we need to go traditional 4-3 and let them three linebackers go crazy. I wouldn't be opposed to a 4-3. I would not be opposed to a 4-3 because, I mean, I think we have the linebackers to be able to cover it. Now, the thing is, go 4-3 if Bobby stays. I think you go 4-3 if Bobby stays because you get Shaq outside, Bobby inside, and then you have Franklin outside 4-3.
Yeah, I don't think you can bench Franklin if you keep Bobby because he had such a good year. He had so many tackles. He filled in well for Shaq.
Yeah.
Franklin play made Bobby job made his contract much harder.
But you know what? But it depends though, because the thing is, it's like for as much good as Bobby did, I don't think that he's going to be somebody who's going to really request that he gets like a super duper bag. Like I think he's somebody where if you're looking this offseason, because like I said, we have about 13 to 14 free agents that we're going to be looking at. And let me tell you right now, Brandon or not Brandon, but Matt Pryor is one of them, and he's going automatically. Like Matt Pryor, I I trap him to a rock and just send him off somewhere because like he did more harm than good. But I mean, honestly, if we're looking at guys this year, the three people that I think you end up bringing back, and as I don't know if Speed's one of them, but of course you bring back Speed, but you bring back Bobby, you bring back Paris, and I think you bring back Yannick on a short term deal. Only for the simple fact that if let's just say if we're under the auspices that we're going to switch to a 4-3, you have Yannick on the outside on a 4-3, and then you still have Grove Buckner, and then you're going to have Quiddy Pay, hopefully comes back healthy, and then you have those linebackers. I think it's just like that right there is just a recipe for, okay, yeah, we can definitely do this. So, but once again, Bobby's going to be a big key to see exactly what we're going to be doing on defense, at least in my opinion.
Yeah.
It just
Are we
depends.
letting?
It depends on the cap, how much cap we got left. Because we let go Anthony Walker, so I just see. Um, I mean, I want to keep Bobby, but we let go Anthony, and he had one of his top years with us, and we let him go for nothing, pretty much.
Yeah, you mentioned Anthony, and I feel like that's one reason that they should keep Bobby because like they saw how much Anthony meant to this defense. So I
I only
mean,
Yeah.
do they
said
want to lose? Do they want to lose another linebacker like that?
I only said it because EJ didn't get on the field last year. We only saw him on special teams, and
Yeah,
so
I mean, we saw him in some action. I mean, I think he played well enough, but I don't think that he played to be able to get into those types of spots. Like that was a little bit tougher because it's just like he was kind of thrown into the fire and at times he did lost. I think for me personally, he is somebody that is just when it comes to I'm gonna say when it comes to the role that he plays when we're talking about like special teams, being able to be a captain on special teams, I think that's his forte. I think that's what he does really well because the majority of the plays that he makes when he's on special teams. But when he's in the game, it's just like I think he does good enough, but I just don't see him going to like a full-time role in the actual defense. But we're
That
gonna
make
go
that
to
makes sense. It makes sense.
but we're gonna go to some more of the comments. They said absolutely Bobby O was the key. Then he said laughing at Matt Pryor. No, Matt Pryor can leave on a rocket and just fly. I don't care because like no. They said, "How do y'all feel about Yannick's run defense? He's so situational, yet we want him to be a 3-down guy, and he just isn't that."
He did okay. I mean, I actually he did okay for what we got him for. Uh, Sack numbers were good. I saw I saw some glimpses of him stopping the run. He wasn't terrible at it. I mean, we didn't have too many guys rush. Had a major game against us other than Derrick Henry, and maybe I think that's it. Maybe I don't think nobody else had a good game. Hasty,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah, Jermichael, yeah. And then he said he can go, not trying to pay 2 linebackers. But the thing is, if you bring in speed, I don't think speed's going to require as much as you want. And then, I mean, Bobby's not going to require Shaq things because for what Bobby does good things, but he doesn't do great things that would require Shaq money.
Yeah, Shaq
Like
was all
there's
pro. Bobby's just a solid, like he's there. He does what
yeah,
you need him
he's
to do.
exactly. Like if you're looking at somebody like Bobby, I think you go somewhere maybe like 3 years, 15 million, 3 years, 18 million, something like that. He's not going to be somebody that you're going to be out here paying 20 million a year to. Like that doesn't make any sense. Then they said send Pryor to the gulag. Exactly. Exactly.
With no guns.
None. None. Send him there with throwing knives. Throwing knives in a blindfold because apparently he wears a blindfold on the field because he can't see when somebody's rushing in. He's a bum. But anyways, let's go ahead and just talk about some of this playoff football. And there's always a scheme here, but we've seen how these games went. We don't need to talk about the Eagles versus Giants because if we needed to talk about that, then I think we'd use like that one Simpsons meme where it's just like, no, stop already. He's already dead. Yeah, that's what the Eagles were doing. That was just awful. And then we see like the Jags versus the Chiefs, where the Chiefs once again making the game interesting. They made a lot more interesting. Oh, also we said it before. We'll say it again. It was never the Jags. It was never the Jags.
No.
Yeah, no, it was never the Jags. All right, so let's call a spade, people. Okay, and then two very interesting matchups: Bills and Bengals, Cowboys and 49ers. Right? Bills and Bengals. I think who wants to discuss that one? Because I know that you guys we're always in sync. We're always like the minds are always connected. I know that somebody's going to kind of touch on these points. Who wants to talk about the Bills and Bengals?
Whatever you want to do, Josh.
I'll take the Cowboys because I like that one.
Oh,
better.
because he hates the Cowboys. Okay, so go ahead. So go ahead, Austin. Talk about the Bills and the Bengals.
All right, so Joe Burrow showed that he is a top 2 quarterback in the league,
Yes.
while Josh Allen showed that he just hasn't been able to get it done in big games, and that should be something people talk about now. Like everybody loves to praise Josh Allen, and I think he's a great quarterback. I truly do, but he hasn't done anything in the playoffs. Like he hasn't won anything. So it should be a real conversation. And if Joe Burrow plays the way he played and beats Patrick Mahomes again, that should be a conversation as well. Those two.
Yeah. Yeah. And this was a discussion that we had. I think we had in the AFC South fan battle chat where I said Well, I said on Twitter at YDKJAC podcast or You'll Know Jack podcast. Make sure that you go follow on Twitter. Where I said we need to start having the discussion where we need to stop saying that Josh Allen is elite and start giving Joe Burrow his flowers because he's closer to being elite than Josh Allen is. And we're like,
I agree.
we're not like So let's go back to May. Let's go back to May. We're going back 8 months, right? The Bills, for all intents and purposes, they were going to come out of the AFC, which means that they were going to be number one seed. They were going to win the AFC championship. They were going to go to the Super Bowl, represent us in the Super Bowl. Josh Allen was going to be the MVP, and he was going to be the finals MVP. And this is all stuff that was being said prior to the season when I think they acquired Von Miller, and that was it. And you fast forward to today, and Josh Allen really made them believe that they were going to go all the way. Now, mind you, in the beginning of the season, they looked good. They looked great, fantastic. They shellacked the Titans. So, I mean, they looked fantastic. But here we are once again discussing the Bills losing in a pivotal divisional round game. Have they even been to an AFC championship yet?
No.
So a team that has never been to the AFC championship was automatically going to dethrone the Chiefs. And as a matter of fact, they were automatically going to beat out the Bengals who got better in the offseason, and they were going to say, nope, they're going to beat them too. Mahomes is elite. And if anybody else is elite, it's Joe Burrow. And it's Joe Burrow only because of the fact that we're talking about a guy who has 5 playoff wins, and he's only into his third year in the league. And as a matter of fact, his second full year in the league, because remember, he tore his ACL.
Yeah, first year.
So I mean, what are we basing this elite thing on? Because I have a feeling that it's based more on how we feel or who we want than it's actually about what we've actually seen in terms of production.
Yeah, people throw the word elite around like it's just like anybody that's better than average, they're elite. Like if you want to talk about elite in that way, then everybody that's in the NFL is elite because like there's not that many jobs and they're there.
Yeah, and that's all the more reason why I will never say, I can't throw the word elite around that way because you have a standard that you have to live up to. Josh Allen, for him to be as elite as he is and only score 10 points on a Bengals defense, really that you can't name anybody outside of Eli Apple. And the only reason why you can name Eli Apple on that Bengals defense is because he gets cooked more than an episode of Gordon Ramsay. Like
it get cooked more than Brandon Feason.
Listen, he makes Brandon Facetson looks like Darrelle Revis 2.0. Like
right.
But like we're once again having to talk about and having to go over all these different things and the recurring theme that I've seen with everything is the fact that they want who they want because you know what? They want that Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady 2.0. They want those two powerhouses who are going to meet. But the thing is, it's hard for them to accept that that's going to end up being Joe Burrow and Pat Mahomes for a long time. It's not to say that Josh Allen won't be in the fold, but the thing is, Josh Allen is in year 5. And
so they didn't want what Corona and McNair 2.0?
No, because neither one of them were flashy. Neither one of them were those primetime guys. I mean, it just wasn't going to happen that way.
You didn't catch the
joke.
Yeah,
no. Yeah. Oh, you mean with the Titans coming up short?
No. The Rams versus rematch of the Rams versus McNair 2.0. So because the Titans were supposed to be in the Super Bowl this year.
No, listen. The Titans, the only bowl that the Titans are in is Toilet Bowl. because all they did was just make their fan base sick this season. And I don't know how you make a whole fan base of mayo eaters sick, but I mean they did that. They were awful. I mean, we were
But
bad, but we were bad for good reason. Austin said good. But then moving on, because like I said, we'll discuss this some more. Because moving on to that quarterback discussion,
hmm
we had Dak Prescott versus Brock Purdy. And let me tell you, it was supposed to be a win for the Cowboys. What happened? What happened in this game that made it so that it wasn't what they said it was going to be?
Um, turnovers, a lot of turnovers. We saw Dak play like Matt Ryan. You know, a lot of picks. I mean, he didn't fumble, but he threw a lot of picks. Unnecessary picks at that. You know, he threw into zone. He threw to threw to a corner that actually ran the route for the receiver.
Yeah.
And he still threw it. I mean, he could have had more picks than that. Could have had one in the fourth quarter. Had the linebacker was not looking at pick six, looking at the end zone, he could have had another one. Um,
Yep.
it just shows that the guy is just overrated. He's overrated. And he's been overrated. Like everybody have said, all the commentators, all the talk shows that's been on the last 2 days about he has 7 years of 7 years of body work, and he have shown you nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Purdy first year he has probably equal Dak's playoff record.
Yeah. Yeah.
And potentially by the passage if he beats Philly. So that should tell you something right there. In 1 year, a guy that wasn't even supposed to play this year. He was the last guy to be drafted.
Very
Was
last
like
one.
you said,
Very last one on the depth chart.
correct. And last on the depth chart, wasn't supposed to play this year. He had 2 injuries. He had to have 2 injuries in order for him to have a chance. So that should tell you something for Dak, who got paid. He got hurt. Got re-up next year, got paid, came back, and they went to playoffs. But this year was supposed to be everything. They traded away Amari. CD was the guy. They picked up T.Y. Hilton, and they made some moves. Some moves, and here we go again talking about Dak
Yep.
being inconsistent. He had a good game last week against Brady. I guess you want to say end of an era type thing, but you couldn't. I guess this supposed to be a dub going against a guy that the. It seems like the lights was too bright for him at home in San Fran, but it wasn't. The guy played like a regular quarterback.
Yeah.
Made an excellent throw to Kittle, who slightly bobbled the pass, and caught it anyway, which set up a go ahead touchdown with McCaffrey to go ahead 7 points, and then never look back.
Yeah. And it's like shifting the conversation away from that. We've seen. I mean, we've seen, of course, enough to see exactly like what we need to see. And the question that I have, or the question that I ask myself, is because of the fact that currently we're looking for our head coach, right? We're looking for a head coach who's going to be able to move into this offseason with the draft and say, okay, you know what, this is our guy. This is who we're going to get at quarterback. So, I mean, we saw with Mike McCarthy, we saw with Kellen Moore, we saw that the offensive game plan was just it was bad. It wasn't good at all. But then we see that Kyle Shanahan with what he does every single year, and mind you, what we saw this year, because I mean, he had success literally all season with 3 different quarterbacks. I mean, he played Jimmy at one point. Jimmy got hurt. He played Trey Lance at one point. Trey Lance got hurt. Now he's playing with Brock Purdy, and it looks like they haven't skipped a beat. But meanwhile, you got Dak, who's a 7-year vet, who just struggled mightily and just threw some absolute boneheaded passes in clutch situations once again. And then you shift over to the other side. You have the Bengals, who, Zach Taylor, once again, it's just like, I mean, I think he's in his third or fourth year. And I mean, he's going back to his second straight AFC championship with Joe Burrow. And mind you, yes, they have offensive weapons, but you have offensive weapons and you're utilizing them in a way that if you look over on the other side, you have Sean McDermott, who's like people are just like, oh yeah, he looks like he's going to be like the next big thing. And then he has another loss, and this loss was probably worse than last year's loss, and with Josh Allen. So it's just like well, question I wanted to pose to y'all: QB or head coach, or QB? Let's just say QB or coaching. Which one is more important? I know I might have stumped y'all with that one, but this is
I still say quarterback. You know, without issue over the past 5 years, we thought we had a coach that'll take us to a Super Bowl, and he has not. And he dug us in holes every year. He dug us in a 1-5 or 1-6 or type thing. It showed that
yeah,
we need a quarterback. A quarterback will help him out tremendously because you don't have those issues. Those games we had could have been it was you know crushing games. We had to rely on defense to get some stops. So I
yeah.
mean, like quarterback, we see with the guys that are left, the players that are left. You know, do do we think that if Mahomes never came back, have the Chiefs would have won? Had if Burrow is not on the if Bengals had Andy Dalton, would they be in the conversation right now?
So to answer that one, have the Chiefs won in the playoffs previously, which had Henny under center?
Just one game.
But I mean, but the thing is, it's just like it's a game to game league. He's
Yeah,
won a
it
game,
is.
but the thing is, this isn't. And when I say, you know, when I say like have they won with him, I don't mean like week two of the regular season. I mean like have they won in these playoff situations? Because the thing is,
Huh.
it's like the Chiefs. The Chiefs generally are not in a position to play wild card football. So I think the last time that Chad Henne played in a playoff game for the Chiefs, it was in the divisional round, which means that you had to play against, one of the next best teams or one of the four best teams in the AFC that was able to advance. So the thing is for me, you know, if Mahomes doesn't play, do they win that game? I still do think that they win that game. Because the thing is, even when Mahomes came back, he wasn't playing like regular Mahomes. He was playing like diet Mahomes.
But he
Like
did
he was
enough.
playing.
He did enough to secure the win. Henny, yeah, he did that one drive, but to sustain it 2 more quarters is hard, especially with the way the Jags were playing. It wasn't a
Yeah,
blowout, of course. It lost by 7, so it wasn't
yeah.
like it was bad. I mean, it took to the fourth quarter for them to lose. Um, so I mean, like you said, I mean, yeah, Mahomes wasn't Mahomes. He looked
Yeah.
like the same guy from the first quarter, but I mean, you think Chad Henne would pull it out versus Trevor Lawrence? Trevor Lawrence who could lead. He's shown that he can lead a team in the comebacks. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a major comeback that come from. It was on a 7 deficit, but I don't know. I mean, Chad Henne did it
So
a year ago or 2 years ago. He did that.
I think it was 2 years ago. But this is the reason why I say what I say, because the thing is, yes, Chad Henne went in, and mind you, Chad Henne prior to the Chiefs, I just he just wasn't good. But the thing is, Chad Henne with the right coaching in that situation, absolutely. So I think that kind of speaks to the point that coaching does matter. And I think at times coaching matters more so than what we're seeing, because the thing is Brock Purdy playing fantastic for the 49ers right now because he's Brock Purdy, or do they draw up a system that makes sure that he doesn't have to take risks and everything isn't solely on his shoulders?
I mean, he playing into the system. He's playing within the system for him to play like he's playing. But you also got to look at the talent he has around him too.
Oh, absolutely. No, and like I said, I'm not denying the talent at all, but let's also be very, 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 very transparent with the fact that you had three quarterbacks play in that system this year, and none of them looked bad in that system. And you had three different types of quarterbacks in that system. You have Jimmy
Correct.
Garoppolo, you have Trey Lance, who you can say is kind of a gunslinger, a little bit of a mobile guy, and then you have
Hmm.
Brock Purdy. These guys, by all accounts, aren't the same type of quarterback, and yet they all were able to find some type of success in that system.
I mean, I agree. I agree. I mean, you got some valid points on that. Coaching does. We know coaching does matter. I mean, look what happened with Daniel Jones. So it does matter. We're also having a quarterback matters as well because you seen what we went through. We had a coach in place with no quarterback, eight different quarterbacks, in what 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and like I said, and I'm not diminishing anything that Frank did prior, but let's also just be realistic with the fact that you draw up these systems and you do these things, but then like I said, you had Matt Ryan this year, and he looked old and slow, but there was no way to accommodate for that. There was no way to coach around that, and then you end up getting rid of Marcus Brady, and what's happening right now. Like it just
Right.
doesn't make any sense. But and then Austin, what is your take on it? Because like I said, I know we've been talking at length about that.
Yeah. So obviously, both head coach and quarterback are very important to the team. Um, I think a great head coach can make anybody look good. Um, but I think you want your head coach to teach your quarterback like if we drafted a rookie, you want whoever we get as head coach to be able to lead him to not need the head coach to lead the team. Like you said, Philip Rivers did that whenever he came. He was pretty much doing his own thing, and he led us to the playoffs. Um, like he was coached up good enough throughout his career to be able to do that. So
Right.
I do think head coaching is very important, but you
Yeah,
also want your quarterback to end up being able to do it no matter who his head coach is.
yeah, and it's tough because once again, it's just like you're talking about having to coach up a guy who doesn't seem like they're in those positions. Like with Joe Burrow, it's a little bit tough because Joe Burrow was the number one overall pick, and
Yes.
the attitude, the moxie, the personality that comes with that. But then also, let's take into consideration that they've had a game plan in place even last year, because I think somebody said somewhere that it's just like, oh no, Joe Burrow, it's just like they had all these linemen out, this, that, and the other. I'm just like, but that line was bad last year. They went out and got three offensive linemen this year. So if you're talking about those three offensive linemen, then you're talking about the same offensive line that they went to the Super Bowl with. So we can't sit there and say that it's the exact same thing, because it's never going to be that. It'll always be that you're surrounded by this team and that they're able to make sure that they're working around those weaknesses. Like to me personally, you have, I think if you have any other coach this year, let's just say you put or matter of fact, let's just say you give Zach Taylor and Brian Callahan that O line that we had with the pieces that we had, I think they're able to go ahead and work around that. Because I mean, you saw that they worked around that previously. But you're not getting the same results because the thing is you're expecting everything to be plug and play with an offense that's just bland. So I think, and this is the reason why it's just like I think I'm going with offensive head coach. Like why I want an offensive head coach, because offensive head coaches are now advancing when it comes to going to these championship rounds. Matter of fact, I think it's what Sirianni, Shanahan, both offensive backgrounds, and then you had Andy Reid, offensive background, Zach Taylor, I think offensive background. Like that's what we have now. So the thing is, as much as I would like to have like a D'Amico Ryans or, have an Edro Evero, or have just somebody that is just like just a defensive minded coach, I want the offensive minded guys, especially now considering the fact that we have a defense in place that can actually do really well, but we just need somebody who's going to be able to bring out the best in whoever we get next for quarterback. Hopefully that's under the age of 25. So
Well, I mean, we treading lightly. We mentioned Henry Hooker, but he's right there. He's 24.
yeah, it's you know what I'm good with Hendon Hooker. I'd like to have Hendon Hooker if we don't get Stroud, because all this Will Levis talk is making my butt itch. Like I don't, I'm sick of it. Like I Will Levis is getting the Mitchell Trubisky treatment, and it's sickening.
Hey, I'm pulling for Levis, man. I'm pulling.
Oh, by the way, I don't want to hear another word about Kellen Moore for head coach.
I'm pulling for Levis.
You know what? You know where you're pulling that out of? I can't say it here because this is a family podcast. Yes, a family podcast. I'm not going to say that on a family podcast, okay? So let's just get that out the way now. But you're pulling it out of a place where sun doesn't shine. All right.
Let's go, Levis.
So yeah, so we'll go with that. No, you can go to hell.
Chevy for Levis.
Shit, the first no. You see how that sounds? You see how that sounds? That sounds awful.
Well, what about the pride for Stroud? What was that? I was like, what is that? I ain't never seen that.
Yeah, no.
No.
Yeah.
Teasing, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But you know what? But I think moving forward, it's just like we're going to see. I think honestly, like based on what we've seen, this head coaching search is probably going to go into February. Like we're not going to hear anything else about hiring of a head coach until then. But it won't be Saturday.
Hope not.
I hope not. I really. Whew, man, I keep seeing those the cryptic tweets on there saying that he's the leading candidate. I'm like, oh my God, I hope not. If Irsay screw this, I'll probably never forgive him again.
Y'all see this comment here? This is y'all fault. This is y'all's fault. Yeah, you, Austin, because you do this normally. You troll me regularly with this nonsense.
I can't even troll about Will Levis. That's just not right.
Yeah, but you are. All right, so let's just get that out the way. But you know what? With that being said, guys, we're going to go ahead and just wrap it up because we are going to be off of here. So, yeah. But in the meantime, please make sure that you guys are – oh, matter of fact, no, before we go, Michael Pittman is wide receiver one for all you weirdos that didn't know. So Michael Pittman is wide receiver one. Look, Michael Pittman is wide receiver one.
I agree.
Anybody got something to say about that? Make sure that you hit us with a tweet at YDKJAC podcast, at YDK basketball, at YDKJAC baseball, where you can tell Austin, you know what? The Yankees are going to win the World Series this year. Where you could tell Josh, the Lakers aren't going to get anywhere near the playoffs this year.
You can tell me anything, but we all know the Kings ain't going anywhere. They trade away their best. They trade away their best player, like the Texans did.
This is true. This is very true. This is very true. This is very true. But you know what? Y'all traded for Rui Hachimura.
Yes.
And now you have no draft picks in the next, 2 drafts?
Hey, like what the Rams say, F them picks.
The Rams won a Super Bowl.
Okay, we won in 2020. So, okay.
Listen, a
Next.
lot of things happened in 2020, okay? And if there was a theme for the Lakers winning that finals, it's even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Well, y'all haven't reached your broken clock yet. Okay.
So with that being said, we will see you next week, Tuesday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. We love you. Everybody, please don't forget that Sam loves Jalen Ramsey.